I'll require a mover and a seconder for a resolution to convene as a committee of adjustment for the August 10th, 2022 hearing. Moved by Stuart, seconded by Karen, that the committee of adjustment for the corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby convenes at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. All those in favor? The Committee of Adjustment hereby convenes a public meeting as per the Planning Act. Applicants and the public can speak at the public meeting. When asked who wishes to speak to an application, please raise your hand and direct all comments to me. Notice of the decisions will be sent to applicants and to the public if requested. Any person may appeal a decision or condition of approval within 20 days after the notice of decision. I'll require a mover and a seconder for a resolution to accept the agenda for today's meetings as circulated. Moved by Stuart or Jim, seconded by Karen. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby approves the agenda for the August 10th, 2022 hearing. We'll also require a mover and a seconder for a resolution to accept the minutes of the previous meeting of the committee. Moved by Stuart, seconded by Jim, that the Committee of Adjustment for the
Point of order, Greg, we never voted on the last motion.
Sorry,
We never voted on the,
all those in favor of approving the agenda? Thank you. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby accepts and as read and circulated the minutes of its last hearing that took place on Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. All those in favor? Thank you. I now ask the Committee of Adjustment for disclosure of any pecuniary interests with respect to today's applications. None noted. I now ask the Secretary Treasurer to introduce the first application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This application was deferred at the May 11th hearing and is now being brought back for committee's consideration. The purpose of minor variance application A-2022-0017-H for 215-8443 Ontario Inc. is to permit an extension to the existing dock, requesting variance for an increase in dock length. Letter of objections were received from Chris and George Gilly and Sandra Miller.
Thank you. Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak to this application? I see two, so I will meet Mr. Klopot.
Hi, well, thanks for having me again. Just some brief comments. I did take back with me through the notes and commentary that you all provided the main points, if I remember correctly, were the issue of privacy, which made us rethink the length that we were asking for, and the second one being the actual water depth. So what we did was we had kept a log beginning the third week of June, and we submitted a photograph showing it up to last week, where the highest water level that we recorded was an inch over 3 feet, and the lowest water level that we recorded was under 2.5 feet. And that's the main reason that we're here today. We'd like to be able to dock a boat, and unfortunately the shallowness of the area doesn't currently allow us to do that.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak to the application? I see Ms. Ledger, but
thank you. Yes, I just briefly add to that we did bring the length down. You now have the measurement of the depth, but so we think we can still put a smaller boat on the 22-foot section, and then the larger boat on the 30, and still have enough water depth to be able to park those two boats and then a spare spot on the other side. So that's sort of how we came to the configuration. And we still meet all the other requirements of the zoning bylaw for the dock. Thank you.
Do any of the committee members have any questions? Taylor, this question is directed to you. When I read the section 4.28.2E for total coverage, dock coverage, it states 112 square meters, which, and my math may be wrong, but that works out to just over 1,205 square feet. When I look at the size of this dock application, I see it as proposed 119.29 square meters. So in excess of what is in that section that's in the application.
Further on, and Brady can confirm this as well. Further on in that paragraph, it notes though on lakes like Little Lake Joe, which this one is on, they are permitted a maximum dock deck area of 168 square meters.
Sorry, I'm gonna jump in here, Taylor. They are permitted 112 square meters, and I believe they're proposing 111.9 square meters. I believe Terry can probably confirm that for us as well. But with the proposed dock extension, it brings it to 111.9 square meters. So just under that maximum of 112.
Okay. Okay, that was the question that I had. Just by looking at the diagram, it appeared to me to be, so if it either A, if it was going to be approved, whether we had to amend the what we were asking for. But if that's the case, then, and if you've looked at it and it's under the 112, then I'll require a mover and a seconder for the resolution to bring forward this application. Right, moved by Jim, seconded by Karen. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A 2022-0017-H to permit a proposed extension to the existing dock length. The following variance is required by zoning bylaw 2006-125. Bylaw section 4.28.2D, maximum length of the dock. Permitted length is 15 meters. Existing length is 24.4 meters. Proposed length is 27.4 meters, requiring a variance of 12.4 meters, and in fact, 3 meters from the existing dock, subject to the following conditions: that the owner applies for and obtains a building permit within 2 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. The extent of the variance will be limited to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. That the property be subject to site plan control pursuant to section 41 of the Planning Act. That the owners submit a revegetation plan prepared by a qualified professional to be approved by the Director of Planning and to be implemented by site plan control. And the variance for the extension of the dock be permitted for a floating dock only. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the application has been
Thank you.
approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period now starts.
Thank you.
I will now ask the Secretary Treasurer to introduce the next application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This application was also deferred. This one was deferred at the July 13th hearing and is now being brought back for consideration. The purpose of minor variance application number A-2022-0017 C for Cole is to reconstruct a cottage in a new location, requesting variance for a decrease in front yard setback. Correspondence in support of the application was received from Susan and Terry Cole and George Duffield. Thank you.
Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak to this application? Do any of the committee members have any questions? I then require a mover and a seconder for the resolution to bring forward this application. Moved by Karen. We do not have a seconder. This application then fails to meet the 4 tests.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. So we still need a resolution. We can bring forward a resolution to approve, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the application was approved.
Okay.
If committee members at that time don't want to approve it, they just don't raise their hand. But we would require a seconder for the resolution to bring forward the application.
Seconded by Stuart. Thank you, Stuart. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A 2022-0029-C to demolish a cottage and permit its reconstruction in a different location. Variances are requested to the following sections of the zoning bylaw 2006-125. Bylaw section 6.3, table 6.2, column 9, front yard. So front yard 4.14C. Minimum setback is 20 meters. Existing is 19.89 meters. Variance required is 10 meters. All those in favor? The application fails to meet the 4 tests and is defeated.
Okay, so anyone watching the application has been denied, you will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period now starts.
We'll now ask the Secretary Treasurer to introduce the final application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of minor variance application number A-2022-0030-H for Coon is to permit a 2-story addition to an existing dwelling, requesting variances for lot coverage, maximum dwelling gross floor area, as well as a decrease in front yard and interior side yard setback. No correspondence has been received.
Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak to this application? Do any of the committee members have any questions? I will then require a mover and a seconder for the resolution to bring forward this application. Moved by Stuart, seconded by Jim. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A 2022-0030-H to permit a small 2-story addition to an existing dwelling. The following variances are required to zoning bylaw 2006-125. Bylaw section 6.3, table 6.2, minimum front yard setback. Permitted 20 meters, existing 16.4 meters, proposed 15.9 meters, requiring a variance of 4.1 meters. Section 6.3, table 6.2, minimum interior side yard setback, permitted is 5 meters, existing is 4.9 meters, proposed is 4.8 meters, requiring a variance of 0.2 meters. Also, section 6.3, table 6.3, maximum lot coverage, permitted is 8%, existing is 15.5%, proposed is 15.6%, requiring a variance of 7.6%, which is an increase of 0.1% from existing coverage. Section 6.3, table 6.3, maximum dwelling gross floor area, permitted is 186.5 square meters. Existing is 212.4 square meters. Proposed is 226.5 square meters for a variance of 40 square meters, an actual increase of 14.1 square meters from the existing gross floor area. Subject to the following conditions: that the owner applies for and obtains a building permit within 2 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. The extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application, and that a site plan agreement be executed. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you. So the application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the same, and the 20-day appeal period now starts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will ask if anyone has any other business. Well, for the other members of the committee, I did have a conversation with Lauren and Taylor in regards to liability for committee members attending what initially we talked about island visits, because we're being asked to travel by boat, not knowing who it is that's going to be operating the boat, the quality of the vehicle, what experience they have, and are we covered as members of the committee from a liability point of view. And then it actually evolved into any and all site visits, whether they are by water, and we're having to, because the township, in fairness, does not have the ability to transport us out to island visits. And some of the sites that we do go into can be quite remote and can be tough to get into. So that was what was brought forward, and Taylor and Lauren were going to give us some feedback today in regards to that. Does anybody have any comments from the committee members? Stuart, you're muted.
I just took my mute off. No, yeah, I agree with you, Greg. Like, some of the roads that we've gone down are in pretty disrepair. Like the biggest one that comes to mind is the 200 Sealy Bay Road. Going down that in the wintertime was pretty sketchy sometimes. And I think I even recommended to some committee members, unless you've got a four-wheel drive vehicle, don't go down.
Taylor?
Feel free to jump in, Lauren, if you'd like. So to answer some of the questions or statements, our insurance policy does cover all committee members while they're conducting township business. So in that regard, you are covered. However, we can't confirm or absolutely provide assurance that the vessel you're in is safe, or whether the person has their appropriate license or this or that. So that is, I don't know if risk is the correct word, but that is something that committee members would have to determine for themselves on a site-by-site basis. All of this being said, site visits aren't mandatory by committee members. It's a committee member's decision and choice to decide to go on site to do it. If you're ever uncomfortable, especially in the winter or on islands, we have the means now with cell phone cameras and videos to try to capture a little bit better evidence on a site basis, which may negate the need to go out and see it in person. We can easily do that for you if that would be a better option. So we're here to do what we can to help you, and if you're uncomfortable, it's your decision whether to attend a site or not to. And that's for that reason. So I sent out the OACA site visit training the other week too, just so you can understand what the intended purpose of going on the site visit was.
Perfect, thank you. So I guess in summary, committee members are covered by the liability insurance of the township if they are acting on behalf of the township and doing a site visit. Okay, Jim?
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile from my perspective anyway, to attend, some, certainly not all of the sites. It depends on the application and sort of how complex it is and perhaps the extent of the variance, being asked. But I really appreciated the time when the township made me aware before I got there about one condition that was icy. I think it was in March or maybe even February. I can't remember what the date was. But that would be worthwhile from my perspective if there was a tip off from the township saying, this is a steep incline in the middle of winter. We do not recommend. As a matter of fact, I think the application got delayed by a month for that very reason. And I think that's reasonable. I don't think the applicant should presume that it can necessarily go ahead if it's putting committee members in a situation that is less than comfortable for a site visit.
Just to jump in, we do have something in our application that sort of echoes that. If it's unsafe for staff or committee members, we do have the option of delaying or deferring. So, but we will definitely give heads up. Staff will be going out if we think it's okay to do the notice first. So we can certainly let committee members know if it is icy, or we recommend maybe this one goes the following month.
That would really be appreciated.
And Taylor and Lauren, I personally, I think the photographs that have been coming in the last few packages have been markedly better than some of them in the past. So I want to thank you for that, because it's made it much easier to have an idea, either A, before you get there, or as Taylor said, certain ones you may not even have to attend. I think one of the benefits of this committee is that all of the members try to get to all of the sites all of the time. We don't always do that, but that's what I think has made the quality of the committee. I think if it would be possible, the island ones are the big, I won't say red herring, but they're the ones that are more of a liability for committee members to get to and to try to schedule to get to, because it's really outside of your control you have to coordinate with someone else, and you may not even be able to coordinate a time. So would it be possible to ask, you had mentioned about videoing, a video walk around of the property and the site as part of the standard package that would come out in the either through an email that we could then view the video, because the still pictures that we're getting are fantastic compared to when I first started on the committee. But I think a video showing the actual site location relative to the neighbors, relative to the lot lines, would go a long way in regards to reviewing for especially the island ones. I don't think personally, I don't think it's necessary for the ones that are on land that we can get to by ourselves. But the ones that are on water, like I say, can be more difficult. Either A, because of just not being able to coordinate a time that's compatible with the applicant.
Just jumping in. Yeah, we can certainly do that for most certainly for island properties. We'll take some photos, take a video, do a walkthrough, and then we can send that when we send out the notice package to committee members. We'll include all of that. The video may have to come from a separate email just because of the size, but we'll figure that out on our end.
Awesome. Does anybody have any other new business? Okay, Lauren and Taylor, just on behalf of all the committee members, I will thank you for looking in to the liability issue. I mean, Karen is has more experience in this and may have already known that, but I certainly didn't. So I appreciate you taking the time to look into it for us, and thank you. So if there's nothing else, I'll require a mover and a seconder for a resolution to adjourn the August 10th, 2022 Committee of Adjustment hearing. Moved by Stuart. Stuart, you always move to end. And Jim. The Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adjourn this hearing at 4:24 PM on Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. The committee will hold its next hearing at 4 PM on Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, or at the call of the chair, unless the secretary treasurer has not received complete applications for committee consideration. All those in favor? That was unanimous. I can't believe